Salve, this is Jeff.
And this is Justin.
Hi, David.
Oh, I'm not David.
Who are you?
I'm Justin, your brother. Have you already forgotten?
Yes, I've already forgotten. We are playing Forza Horizon 4. Forza Horizon 4 is a video game made by Microsoft Turn 10 Studios. This is where I put the full disclosure thing that I worked on Forza Motorsport 6, if for some reason you care about that thing. All right. That game is not this game, but that thing shares a lot in common with this game. This is the Horizon series, open world racing games, and it's so relaxing. What a great video game.
Yes, I can actually get behind this video game. Some video games are alright. I'm back on board with video games. Yeah.
Okay. Not all video games are a mistake.
Oh, come on. You don't need to go that far.
Sure.
Yeah.
And this is actually my brother. I'm not talking to myself. I have heard that we have similar voices.
Yeah, it could be a problem, but we're gonna roll with it and see what we can do.
Sure. It's like listening to the early episodes of Mabim Bam.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I never heard. I'd like to think I always heard the three of them as distinct voices, but hey, who's to say?
We're gonna do some racing.
Let's do some racing.
So, as an open world racing game, there's a lot of the large open world in this particular Horizon game is merry old England, or at least a version of it. There's all kinds of race types. We start here with a street race and a street point-to-point race. This is a offline race, which means we have access to beautiful Rewind, which we'll be abusing. I'm using a Lamborghini Aventador, which is one of my favorites. Good. It is such a good, like, 10 launch, all-wheel drive, good brakes. This is a close to a simulation game, because the Forza Motorsports is a simulation racing game. So it's like, real. It's that didn't happen. We're just gonna.
And so this backwards in time stuff, that's the simulation, just like in real life, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, it is simulating reverse time. So going through, there's a lot of things you can tweak about cars. There's like 700 cars. I don't know. There's a lot of cars in this game. Everything from pieces of garbage to super cars that are very expensive pieces of garbage. But hey, from working on Forza, I learned that if you, for some reason, have a few $1 million to spare, and you have to buy a supercar or a hypercar, get a Lamborghini because they look nice. The Ferraris are just red. And the Porsches they're fine.
They're fine. All right. I'm not particularly a car guy, but I am a Horizon guy, and my jam is to get it's simple. Just find one with all-wheel drive, because you're going to be doing a lot of off-roading in this game anyways, and like maybe one of the Audis, and then just, I don't know, bring it up to S rank once you have the S class. Excuse me, not S rank. That's a different video game thing. Get it up to S class.
It's related.
Upgrade it all the way. I never got super into the upgrades, but I'm sure we can talk about that a little bit later.
We'll do some upgrading.
Yeah, and then just cruise on down and enjoy the open world, or jump into different events, of course.
Yeah, we're starting here with just an event because I feel like racing is the core of the game. But as you can see on the mini map, there is gray and slightly lighter gray streets in the mini map. This turn's gonna take a bit. I just need to. Because one of the most enjoyable things to do in a Horizon game is to just drive on all of the roads. It's a nice little pleasing checkbox that you can just check off. You just drive around, listen to the radio stations, which you got Bass Arena and Pulse, which are the EDM channels, and then eventually you get Hospital Records, which is drum and bass. I usually just go back and forth between the Bass Arena and Hospital Records, those being the genres of choice. I mean, there are other radio stations, classical station and rock and some other stuff, but
my particular, I ended up tweaking the game to,
I missed that checkpoint.
As long as you hit the you got it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. I just gotta get that smoke.
Weren't quite satisfied with that. Yeah, I ended up tweaking the ended up making sort of a chill version of the game where I fiddled with all the audio settings, kind of boosted the music a little bit, turned the road sounds down, and then just started cruising around. It is quite nice. It really is.
And it's always fun to hear songs you recognize if you, I don't know, listen to a lot of Canadian EDM, like, say, Monster Cat, which I recommend, by the way. Monster Cat is great. It's a little Canadian YouTube channel. I mean, they do other things, but their releases are usually pretty good. They have a lot of different styles, various house, electro, dubstep, trap, and so forth. I do like a lot of their trap stuff. I did it.
Nice.
I won second place. This is a pretty low impact game in such that there isn't a whole lot of lose conditions. I mean, it's just like, yeah, it's fine, move on. Because there's like 1,000 things in the game.
For sure. You can earn credits faster, you can earn your reputation faster, but that's basically the only difference between first place and, even 10th place.
I unlocked a really stupid emote. We'll see that one later.
Yes, emotes were new for this one.
Yes,
Oh man, I knew you'd be good at this. I just knew it. You're through to the next round. I can't wait to see what you're capable of.
As is tradition in the open world genre. There's a ton of icons, at least in this game. After you do the qualifying, the main sort of new thing for the game, other than the avatars that you can put stupid dances on, which is great, is the seasons. So the actual seasons of fall and winter and whatnot.
Yep.
You do qualifying races through all of those, and then eventually the online connected portion where you're just driving with some random people that are connected in a kind of a similar sort of open world situation. You all have the same kind of season, and the seasons change each week, and those all look great. The game looks great. Let's go do some multiplayer though.
Yeah, they started adding the at least the winter stuff in the DLC for the previous Horizon game, so it's cool to see it all fleshed out a little more.
Winter stuff. Yeah, and a lot of the rain physics stuff came from Forza 6 and 7.
Chris, I've got
to
tell you about last night, mate.
So the Team Adventure is the main sort of quick play multiplayer mode where you just jump in and there's like 5-ish race types in a row. I'm just doing the racing race types. There's also, they call them the playground games, which is a great joke because that's the name of the developer, where you can do things like Virus, where it's car tag.
I'm your host, Chris Goss.
That kind of thing.
Very good.
It works better in smaller areas than bigger areas. There's a lot of running away, and it's fine. It is an amusing diversion for sure. We're going to be doing the race types, which are circuit races, point-to-point, off-road, the 50-50 free roam rush, whether it's exhilarating or extremely frustrating. Since we'll be playing online, we don't have, I say we don't have access to rewind, which is not true. That little blip means that the in-game model has loaded, so we're about ready to go. These are all team races, which means you get points for the amount of people on the other team you beat, which is just a formula so that even small teams can still win as long as they do well. This will be, the first one is a cross-country circuit. The Subaru here that we're using, the all-wheel drive, it's great. It's got like 10 launch, 10 brakes, 2 thumbs up. This is one of the first cars you get. The Subaru that could. Highly recommended. But since we're online with real folks, highly variable skill levels, also my awesome horn. Here's just some Forza Pro tips. One, you're not going to be able to use rewind. So if you want to get good, at the game about not having to rely on getting those perfect lines, then just do some online races. You have to play a little bit more defensively. There's a lot more braking and kind of waiting for people to get past you. But especially if you're playing online on Forza, if you can survive the first corner, you're pretty much golden. Pretty much gonna get a podium finish.
Good to go.
You have to fight for that first corner. But once you get that, you're good. And hey, there's views in the car. All the cars have interiors. It's a very detailed game. If you're into cars, can't this.
Oh no!
That was a bad turn.
No,
I'm very sad about that turn. We have time. We can try and make this up. We'll have a little bit of time here to. The off-roading in this game is pretty pervasive. Unlike in the simulation heavy games like Motorsport, which are actually like real racetracks and whatnot. Your Nürburgrings and your another name of a racetrack.
I got nothing.
I worked on it for. I saw it. Nope. I can do this.
Yeah. All right. Reach deep. While you're thinking about that,
Watkins Glen?
I think you nailed it. You got it in the first. You got the one. Yes. Yeah. Aside from off-roading, I'm sure you've noticed these score counters and multipliers, and you're getting all sorts of. If you haven't played a Horizon game before, then you're gonna get points for all sorts of. I'll say fun things to do. Of course, racing is fun on its own, but you're getting points for doing crazy jumps. You're doing all manner of drifts, both e-drifts and normal drifts. You can get it for landscaping by destroying things. You can get it for Kangaroo is a particularly nice one where you kind of bounce a couple times in a row and get a whole bunch of extra points. It's really quite entertaining, I would say, I guess.
Yes, and I was going to say, unlike a Motorsport, which is relying on a lot more realism, you can plow through destructible objects with basically no problems at all. Now, to be fair, in the settings for difficulty, you can tweak simulation damage and things like that. You can't quite crumple up the cars because car manufacturers suck and are the worst because they don't let you destroy their cars in their games. I need to complain about car manufacturers in a second, but I'm going to get distracted, okay. So I'm just going to keep talking about the skill chains. Yep. There's a risk-reward in the skill chains. It's very Burnout-esque, where you can keep the skill chain going, but if you crash into something, it's all gone. So sometimes you just want to bank it. you just want to stop and just let the points roll in. I've lost many a points to greed.
Yes.
And in this particular game, the skill trees are per car. Someone's already beat the race, so we have a countdown. But that's alright. We're gonna be. It's not so bad after the a few shaky starts.
Yeah.
But yes, our blue team is going to handily beat the red team. There's a little spoiler for you there. But the skill trees are per car, unlike in the previous games when you would just unlock them on a grid.
Right.
It sounds kind of unbearable because there's so many cars and you're constantly getting new cars, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of cars in the game. But it's actually not that bad. You get new skill points pretty regularly, and honestly, I only end up using a handful of cars. Like, this is the off-road car. The Aventador is just it's a great street racing car. I like to have a... Okay, now I can complain about car manufacturers. Toyota sucks and is stupid because they're like, no, we don't want to have our cars in the game anymore because I guess people don't immediately run out and purchase like 2 or 3 or 10 Toyotas after playing a racing game.
Right, yeah.
Which really sucks because for the longest time, Porsche was one of the ones that was a holdout because there's licensing issues with like EA having the exclusive video game rights and stuff like that, and they had to like license them individually and whatever. It's a whole nightmare thing. So in Motorsport 6, they had a Porsche-specific expansion focused exclusively on Porsche, but all the car manufacturers, they don't want their cars to be too badly destroyed, so every piece of damage is like a fight to get it to even be in the game. So you can't have everything being crunched together like in a Burnout. This, by the way, is a free roam rush, which is get to the end by any means necessary. And this is a 50-50 because if you just hit a wall, you're pretty much just done.
Yeah, yep, definitely.
There's not a lot to recover from. This one is you can see the goal at all times, and it's pretty good to just kind of keep that in mind, but often driving on the road is your best bet because it's easier to drive on the road.
400 yards.
Yeah,
a
but
little
that's no
less risky.
fun. Come on, that's no fun.
It's fun if you beat people.
Oh, okay.
You can stay with the crowd. So if you can see some other people, especially on the mini map there, they're like crossing the field, probably pretty safe. There's been plenty of these that were just frustrating where it's in the city area and it's just a wall. And you just run into a wall and you're just like, okay, well I live here now. I guess this is my house. Actually, you can buy your own house in this game. I digress. Toyota sucks because I want to. When I get a Forza game, I want a Toyota Trano and I want to download an initial D skin and turn it into a drift car. And that's just not here. That's the most efficient way to get through a roundabout.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
So there's technically like one branded Toyota car in the game, but I think it's one of those like, I don't know, it's like a weird hybrid thing or like a licensed, not NASCAR, but maybe like a. Actually, I just don't remember what there, but there's one. But the important thing is that there's no Tranos, and it's very sad. So you have to get some other rear-wheel drive piece of garbage to do the drift challenges. Just look online.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm sure there's something that is equivalent.
So, just to back up real quick, the skill chain.
No, we're going forward. We're not.
I got it. That was almost a car joke.
We like to have fun.
We like to have a little bit.
We're just making car jokes here.
I
actually made it to the end of a free roam rush. I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, and it was recorded too. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
Once you got your skill chain going up and you run into a wall or something, we talked about it goes away. However, one of those sweet skills that you can get in this game is the second life, or the extra life rather. So you have to get hit twice in order to lose your skill chain. This is new for Horizon 4, and I'm haven't got it yet, but I'm interested to be even more reckless trying to get these silly skill chains up.
Yes, literally reckless.
Yeah.
Well, actually, literally.
Yeah.
There's a joke there. Anyways, those are per car, as mentioned. So you'll have to earn up those points per car, and those actually takes a lot of skill points to get that at the end of the tree for those. But yeah, it's pretty worth it. I mentioned you can fast travel in this game is a little weird in that it's a little strangely restrictive. You can always fast travel to the festival site, which is kind of in the center of the map. It takes a really long time to drive out to a lot of the further events, especially the ones that are like in the city. But you can go around and you can find just like properties, so houses that you can buy with your in-game CR credits, your Forza bucks. And they can act as basically like a hub where you can warp to, and you can like change your character, and you can edit the tuning on your cars and stuff like that. But there is one which I haven't gotten yet. I think it's like one. Oh man, is it 1.2 or is it 2 million? That's in the north side of the map, which it's a manor or a state that actually unlocks the fast travel anywhere perk. So that's kind of what I'm saving up for. Because the ability to just kind of throw some money to just be at a location is something that I'm very into. So this is the Forza Vista mode. Forza Vista is a mainstay of the motorsport series. The car pornography, if you will.
If you will. Yeah, well, I mean, hey, the interiors look great, okay?
They do. They look very good.
Both the inside
interiors,
and the hoods and everything. Yeah.
Yes, includes the trunk spaces, the underneath the hoods for every car in the game, which is a lot of cars. Some of them are a little bit more fancy than others. Some of them are a little bit more like strange, like the Aerial Atom, which is basically a go-kart with like a jet engine in it. I think that's what it is.
That is what it is. You got it. That's pretty much it.
And there's the Nomad, which is like the quad version of that, slightly bigger. I use the Nomad quite frequently in Horizon 3. The livery system is back as it always is in the Forza games. They have their own extremely complicated, layered Photoshop-esque system using primitives that you can stack hundreds on top of each other to create truly magnificent designs. this particular car doesn't appear to be very popular. But
Yeah, that's a bit of a bummer right there. Yeah.
Yes, you're mostly going to see those on, I was going to say like your Camrys, but not in this particular game. But you know, most of the Ferraris and the supercars, the hypercars, the Bugattis, that kind of thing will the Peugeots or the Peugeots, I don't know, the Koenigsegg's.
The
1-1s, the
I was gonna say
the
I
Agueras.
think is the Teslas back in this one? I know they were in Horizon 3. I haven't got that far.
I don't know if the Teslas are in here. I assume they would be, but then again, I would have assumed that Toyota would be in here too. So
that's fair.
Just kind of check the list. We'll just do a simple paint job here. The actual livery system or livery system is extremely complex, but also it's imported from previous games. So there's like a lot of designs that are already there. You can save them, share them, do all that normal stuff. Painting individual pieces, the camera is a little bit more friendly than it was in Motorsport. The general gist of it is I was like, well, I got a new car. Let's use a new car. Let's put a paint job on it. Let's get a tune. Pretty much you want to do this with any of the cars you have, especially have them be competitive. You can go in and do your own tuning, which is kind of fun, but extremely specific. Well, there's actually a difference between the parts and the actual tuning of the parts. So this is actually just purchasing kits that have been pre-made by other people. The search function I was using is specifically to search for a class. So the classes are cut off at each 100 points. So A class 1 is 800 as an example. S1, S2, R class, X class, I forget how it goes up from there. And then you have like A, B, C, D class going down the numbers. There's my little lady. Got like customize my avatar. I like the green boots, but I wish that the boots were not just green. But I'm gonna have to try and make it work somehow.
Yes, I like your little 90s plaid ensemble going on there. Yep.
I use whatever is unlocked. There's some pretty good James Bond crossover stuff, but. I think that's probably real money for that.
Like that classic James Bond chicken suit that we were like.
Yes, the James Bond chicken suit, the James Bond green screen suit.
Right. Well, it was probably in the.
The important part is that Running Man challenge. It's so dumb. It's great. You can set two different emotes, as it says, for showboating and for victory. There's some great event. When you're on the open world and you find a vista, which is just one of the collectibles, usually modeled after some actual landmark. It has just a long distance view of the location, like it'll be like some famous old church. And somewhere, Where's Waldo style, in that view, is your avatar doing whatever dance you told them to do in that menu, and it is stupid.
And wonderful.
They're just standing on this hill doing the Running Man. I was like, okay, this is a good video game. There's a billboard here. I need to get in that billboard. I did. 3,750 billboards.
It always takes a little longer
just,
than you think when you're right next to it. It turns out you can't strafe really.
Yeah, and that's just the influence billboard. There's different billboard types. The one that I'm most interested in is the fast travel billboards, because you have a fast travel it's a minor cost, but still, it can eventually go down to zero. So that combined with having the correct house, you can just warp around anywhere you want to. Which I'm very much looking forward to. Lambs? Crap, sheep.
Don't need to know that part. Point is that it's hot. The sun is not even really up yet, so stay cool right here on Base Arena with tracks just like this.
Now, will I be able to land this?
Turn left.
Will I get these points or not? Is the tension?
Oh, this is tension. Yeah.
In 400 yards, turn right.
It's ambiguous.
Oh my gosh,
Well,
I can't watch this.
It's all good.
This is too stressful. I didn't sign up for this. You asked me to do some commentary with you. This is too much.
117,000. It's all good.
There's that sus4 chord to the major. Just sit right there on one chord. Yes, wonderful.
So this is called the Forzathon live event. This happens. It's either, I think it's every hour on the hour when you're connected on an online world. So all the other little dudes' names up there are just the people that are just happen to be in the same sort of. It's not really lobby, but the world map is basically like a lobby where you're like connected up to, I think it's like 20 people. For the most part, you're just kind of ghosts. You don't really directly interact with each other. Thus, you can still use like rewind. It doesn't matter because it just rewinds wherever you were, as an example, which is a good change instead of doing like, oh, I don't know how to handle time dilation. It's like, it's fine. It's just personal time dilation.
Right, yeah.
But it also means that this is a good way to get people together. So everyone's here, like, there you go, ghosting by. But the little Forza blimp will just fly over a location, and these are like the little challenges, of which there are a bunch scattered around. In this case, speed zone is average speed through 2 points. There's like speed traps, which are as fast as possible on a single point. Drift zones, danger signs, which is how far of a jump you can do, this kind of thing. And everyone's contributing to a sort of like a pool of points at the bottom. So it's, it's multiplayer, it's cooperative, but it's not. There's not any direct interaction because just the way that it's handling sort of the open world lobby style system. It's really nice. I really like this. I like the multiplayer style. I wish that it was.
Round 1 complete. Get to round
I still feel like the open world could feel a little bit more populated. It just seems like a sprinkling of the mini players that are actually playing. And it's actually it's weirdly difficult to get individual races to have co-op or competitive modes in. Like if you want to race with or against other people, the only option you have realistically is the team adventure, which is kind of random. You can't really set up anything. As an example, if you're driving around in your world and you set up an event, you can set it up as co-op, and it'll say like waiting for co-op, but it's only queuing the people that are in your session. So it's like only maybe 10 other people. And even then, they would only be able to join it if they... You see in the corner there, it says there's a left bumper and there's a 1?
Yeah.
That is indicating that there's someone that was setting up an event.
Well.
So you have to go into your menu, hit left bumper, and then confirm it, and then fast travel over to it. And that only works with the people in your session. So it's very sad.
Yeah.
I'm a little stuck. This is gonna be fine. It's just I just have to. It's fine. Okay, it's good. We're good.
Yeah.
Okay, everything's fine.
So I'm out doing my thing at a base arena
Take
party
this
last
stupid
night.
tire.
When I get off stage, I'm
Hate that
soaked
tire.
with sweat, and this bunch of drivers corners me.
Well, you also still have your, if you're not in any particular online mode, you can still see your avatars of your friends driving around. It's not quite the same, but it does still feel a little more alive than just
Nice to meet you.
random traffic, I suppose.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the drivatars of other players and other people on your friends list can also. Those are the ones you can interact more directly with.
Right. Yeah.
They're just kind of out and about. They also populate your single player matches, and I'd say mostly a single player game. Although I've been playing a lot of just random team adventure stuff, just because it is surprisingly tense and satisfying to get good corners in a group of complete random people that are all trying to full throttle into the first corner. If you could come through that and live as you cool guy walk away from the explosion behind you, it's a pretty good feeling. This is, if I were to describe the core idea, or some of the core idea of the Forza experience, it would be learn to love the brake.
I'm gonna modify that just a little bit. I'm gonna jump in here. So
100 yards.
It's
Turn right.
I can't do the brake yet. Maybe I'll get there. Maybe I'm just a novice, but I have learned to at least kind of flutter the throttle a little bit. So I will meet you there.
400 yards.
Okay,
Turn
we'll
left.
meet halfway.
Yeah, let's say.
Halfway down on the. This is actually the point that I learned that you can in fact use rewind when there's other people around. I was like, oh yeah, it just rewinds me. Okay, that makes sense. Anyways, it's very when you're in a very high-powered car, having good brakes is. Okay, so for difficulty, the difficulty settings I like to use typically is Pro Driver Tar difficulty, which is like one down from Unbeatable, which is the highest. But with rewind because, let's not be crazy. I like the driving line to have the braking line on. The braking line is a good indication of where braking should happen, but sometimes it's, let's say, a little conservative, so that if you follow it directly, there will always be a more efficient way, depending on the feel of the car, how your actual brakes work, etc. So the actual feel of the car is very important. The feedback on the rumble is probably the best in all of video games, because like it has a very, very subtle like rumble to everything. Like you can get a pretty good feel even with a controller if you're not using some kind of crazy like HOTAS and like actual driving wheel and pedals setup. Which hey, you can do that too.
For sure.
But yeah. But yes, all of those accoutrements are not even necessary, because even just with a controller, there's a lot of fine control, like feathering the gas around a corner, letting off the gas, just tapping the brakes. It's very satisfying. It's a surprisingly satisfying experience.
For me, it's just nice to get into it because you start with like, I don't know, doing donuts in a field, and then you kind of come back around. You're like, all right, I can kind of maybe try and figure out this braking stuff. The braking line I also use, and I was just going to say it also is an excellent indication. If it's bright red and you're not looking at your mini-map, it's probably going to be a pretty sharp turn. So that's typically what I use it for the most, I would say, because sometimes it's a little hard to see exactly how sharp a turn is going to be. But I digress.
The rest of the assists that I like using just for personal preference is because the difficulty is pretty straightforward. It's just what is, relatively speaking, the times that the other drivers will get. I mean, there's not actually. I don't think there's actually rubber banding in this game. It's more simulated than that. But the rubber banding you can kind of control beforehand by saying like, I really want this to just be a lot easier, and just kind of the difficulty settings only tweak the percentage rewards you get. So I also like doing no traction control and no stability control, stability management, which are two things that will control wheel spin when you're going around corners to keep your like tires on the road. This is, I find, not necessary for all-wheel drive for the most part. It can help for, like snowy and watery conditions, especially if you have a really, like an American muscle car that is like it's like two children standing on each other's shoulders and pretending to be a human. But so like it's like there's a front car and a back car, but then they're like they have a car trench coat over them, and the back car is always trying to go a different direction. So you have to be very gentle coaxing around corners. If you don't want to do that, then the stability management I would say is only necessary for the extremely high-end cars like the Formula 1 cars, which I'm not entirely sure are in this game, but the ones where it goes from 0 to 60 in, I don't know, like less than a second, or you beat light to your destination, that kind of thing. Very hard to control. So he's working at that. But for the most part, you're going to be doing A class and S1 class. Those are just predominant, those are the predominant things that will be happening in Horizon 4. And it's how you can do tuning as well. So I mentioned that before, but you can buy parts for your car. You can do like body kits. You can, if you're not interested in the minutia, you can do an auto upgrade, or you can get a tune from someone else, which is what I usually do. You can get huge like horsepower increases by just putting different engines, and you can go down into the engine and be like, I want different valves for this engine, etc. I want a different like filter. But then after all of that, you can actually do even more minute tunings into like, you can go and change like the specific pressure on each of the different brakes for your car. Like if it's all wheel, you can change the brake pressure rear to front to rear, left to right. So you can have like a very specific kind of feel for like rolling around corners. You can compensate for cars that have different sort of like drifts for one way or to the other. Anyways, that kind of minutia is something that I did as a job for a while, but have no interest in casually. But it's all there.
The video game version, right?
Yes,
you weren't
the video game version. I was not an actual mechanic,
right?
Working on a Porsche.
That'd be kind of cool too. But yeah, the video game version, sure.
Corvette Zo6 is also a pretty good car to get. If you want just like a nice car to drive around in, Corvette Zo6, pretty stylish. Lamborghini Aventador or the Gallardo Super Sports, also very tasty. Or even just a good simple BMW or Audi. 4 circles. It's the 4 circles.
Yeah, I enjoy an Audi. Yeah, a virtual Audi.
Okay, if you enjoyed this content and you would like to support the channel, The Jeff and David Show, with special guests occasionally, you can support us monthly on Patreon by donating there. Well, pledging there. If you want to give a single donation, we have a PayPal account set up for that, which is also in the description. And of course, you can do the YouTube things, liking and commenting and all, and subscribing and all of that, which hopefully. But anyways, I won't complain about YouTube again this time. I always cut that from out.
Forza. Wait, it's dark. No, hold on. Something happens at the end of the episode, and it's
something happens. It's where I can be a pedant and be like, it's Italian and it means force, but it has the t. It has that. They have to stop the sound, so it's not a Forza. It's a Forza. You got a Forza. You can say it with your hands. Forza.
Forza. Oh, I don't know.
The Forza.
Oh, this is sounding more offensive as we go along.
Is it?
And this is where there's a sound effect of a car driving off.
Yep.